Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to have a conversation about something that's actually good coming with Wuthering Waves' anniversary. Yes, I know a lot of people are in a bit of a dismal mood with the lack of anniversary banner and that lack of celebratory feel, but don't worry. As long as you're an individual over here that's interested in pulling Hiyuki, you've got some good news ahead, because QoL Games has actually come out with, at least in my opinion, one of the best quality of life buffs they've ever had in the history of the game. And that's going to originate from, well, you clicking new enemies and echoes in this menu over here, and of course, taking a look at the new Glacio Chafe set, Wishes of Quiet Snowfall, because this set over here has basically combined the effects of previous Sonata sets in the past and have made it operate like this. You get two for the price of one. And let me just explain it to you how they've been able to get this done. So the two-piece effect of this set over here is just probably going to be a 10% buff to Glacio damage. Kind of just, you know, like what you would expect from a two-piece. But then the five-piece effect reads very uniquely. Inflicting Glacio Chafe grants a Glacio damage bonus at a baseline, which is great, and then the Snowfall effect. And this is the crazy thing. The Snowfall effect does two things depending on what the character's kit does. Dealing liberation damage removes Snowfall and increases crit rate. Naturally, if a character does liberation damage very early on in their kit's rotation, then they'll naturally be consuming that buff, and then they'll have a crit rate buff, I imagine, for a period of time. Guess what this character's gonna do? I'm probably gonna put a shit ton of money on her being a DPS, especially considering the raw number of attacks that we have, and of course all the gameplay that we've seen with like two ultimates, a transformation and shit like that, as well as one of the longer looking field times we've ever seen in the history of the game. I'll put money on her dealing liberation damage, and I'll put money on her having this crit rate buff effect. But there's a secondary one that occurs as well. Casting Outro skill removes Snowfall and grants a Glacio damage bonus to the incoming Resonator. This obviously seems like it would activate if a character doesn't ever actually deal Resonance Liberation damage in their kit, can inflict Glacio Chafe, but it's clear that that character probably isn't in the game yet, and they'll be released in a future version. However, having both of these effects tied to the Snowfall effect and then making it have unique activation conditions likely means that A, Hiyuki is never really going to be able to use this casting outro skill effect piece, because that would require you to use like none of the fucking attacks in her kit, and how the fuck are you going to build up Concerto if you're not using any of her goddamn attacks? And when it comes to the Glacio sub DPS that inflicts Glacio Chafe, that'll likely be Hiyuki's best in slot support, well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They likely won't deal Resonance Liberation damage in their kit, and as a result, right, they'll only be able to activate the outro skill part of the effect. When Snowfall is removed, only one of the effects above can be triggered. And this is kind of like the crazy realization over here. Kuro had absolutely no fucking reason to do this. This just came completely out of left field. And the reason why I'll tell you this is that we already have an existing set in the game, or really existing two sets in the game, that just take this one and separate it out. And of course, they require like additional grinding, blah, 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 all of that. And one of those sets, oddly enough, belongs to Denya. So let's start breaking it down. Let's start doing some comparisons over here so I can tell you just how good that new Glacio set is. So while we're on the topic of Denya, I'll just go ahead and show you the one I'm talking about over here. It's equipped on my Encore, and that is Chromatic Foam. And so this is how the Chromatic Foam effect reads. 10% fusion damage bonus on the two-piece, and when the Resonator inflicts fusion burst on enemies, they gain the following effects. 10% fusion damage bonus for 15 seconds, and while the effect is active, casting an outro skill grants the incoming Resonator 25% fusion damage bonus for 15 seconds. Doesn't that just look straight up like exactly the same? Almost exactly the fucking same, just without the numbers that what you saw on the new Glacio set on the outro skill piece. I think it actually is virtually the exact fucking same, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 10% over there and then also a 25% on the Glacio buff. This, however, is the only effect of this set. There's no way to really like, differentiate it. There's really no way to have any variability here. And the counterpart of this set is none other than Amith's. fusion damage plus 10% over here on Trailblazing Star, and inflicting fusion burst or tune rupture shifting increases the resonator's crit rate by 20% and grants a 20% fusion damage bonus for 8 seconds. And it's pretty clear why these differentiations needed to be made in this set, because Ameth's set has 2 activation conditions. One of them being fusion burst, which is the version that's shit right now that's really useless, or tune rupture shifting, which is her viable one right now. So it's likely that these sets were just like separated out simply due to the fact that, well, maybe like early on in release, and they just wanted to make sure that they had both types of Ameth covered. But they could have easily done a similar sort of combination over here, where this could have just had, like, you know, inflicting fusion burst or tune rupture shifting gives you like XYZ effect, so on and so forth, right? And then dealing liberation damage consumes that effect, while using an outro skill, on the other hand, right, makes you buff the incoming resonator. What this new set has done over here is essentially, it has just gone ahead and combined Ameth's set and Denya's set into one. And so by simply farming for one fucking unit, you actually farm for Hiyuki and her best in slot sub DPS, very likely to be her best in slot sub DPS, at the same time. And that's really just like a quality of life. That's really just like a bonus, right? That I feel like we didn't have any reason to have in the game. This is just like a gift. This is just like a free sort of like upgrade from Kuro Games that I've never really seen any reason for, but it's just something awesome that you're gonna have in your back pocket if you do decide to play this character, if you do decide to pull them, and of course from there, actually pull their best in slot team. It's completely unfounded. There was no reason for it. They just did it for fucking free. Because they easily could have just done the same goddamn thing they did for the Imeth set and that they did for the Denya set. Separate this shit out, and then from there, make it so that you gotta grind this one separately. It only has one of the snowfall effects, and then grind the other one separately, and then that one has the outro skill bonus. Instead, we just get both for free. And that's the thing. This, to me, maybe shows that they're taking a new approach, right? When it comes to Sonata set design in the future. This, to me, maybe means that this is the new standard that they're going to have moving forward when it comes to building characters and when it comes to building teams. And that's going to result in a lot of things for the potential future of the game. Because this is my take. I don't see any reason for them to maybe turn back on this design philosophy that they've already introduced over here. This is incredibly fucking player friendly. Hopefully I've given all the reasons for why. You're getting double the farming efficiency over here. And you know what that means? That means that when you're going through, you're looking at various activities, right, in the guidebook. Things like tacit suppression fields. Things like the tacit discord nest and all of that. Less sets applicable to more units is better overall for players. And I think that's just kind of like obvious, right? I don't need to like, you know, talk about too much of the mechanics over there when it comes to that stuff. I feel like that's pretty universally understandable. And that also just means, right, less clutter. Because you want to know what one of the biggest pains in the asses I feel like it is for a good number of players? Bro, I feel like this Nightmare Nest bullshit over here was one of the biggest mistakes that Kuro Games like ever made. Is this not kind of just like... These additions over here feel like one of the potentially most like misguided decisions I feel like the developers have ever had when it comes to building units. Like a limited number of these. Once you're like done building the characters, they just like clog up the map. There's like no way to like do the wayplates and stuff. You're kind of incentivized to do them every single day, but they kind of just turn into like unneeded filler and trash by the end of it. I think people just kind of like don't like these. Right? I think people much prefer these tacit discord nests because you can get a bunch of sets at once. And then, of course, tacit suppression fields, these bad boys. I've always liked these more than Nightmare Nest. I think a lot of people can agree with that. And the thing is that they're going to basically reduce the number of these that are required as well. And that just makes it a lot easier for people to prioritize their farm. Because let's be entirely honest here. As we're in like version like 3 point whatever of the game, as we're heading into 3.3, they're probably just going to add one more tacit field. And that's probably good for the progression of the game because we kind of have like a fucking lot. And I think one of the main things that they did was they didn't want to add too many tacit fields. And so they added these instead, but these are just worse. And so it's even like more crap, more clutter, more sort of just like all this unnecessary sort of features that they've had to the game, and their new approach when it comes to like combining some of the sets, well, it's just gonna make shit a lot more manageable in the long run and reduce some of that clutter. So in a lot of ways, I think it saves Kuro themselves on like the quality of life side, like the allocation side, all of that, because they don't have to worry about, oh, maybe we can't add too many different characters to the game at once, because then we're going to have too many tacit fields, too many different things for people to farm, right? It's going to get too confusing for the players, so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm very excited for what's ahead. And of course, I think we're going to have to wait until version 3.4 and stuff like that, because, well, think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people think that like 3.4, the version right after the anniversary, that's typically a bombshell fucking patch. Last time in version 2.4, what did we have? Brother, we had the release of Cardathea and like Septimont as a whole. That was one of the biggest updates in the history of the game, and a lot of people are thinking 3.4 is going to hit like a similar sort of depth in its content, alongside the release of the Cyberpunk units, the collab units, which, due to like some misguided announcements, were confirmed to be Rebecca and Lucy, right? Now I'm personally under the assumption, damn, are they just gonna do that for the Cyberpunk characters? Just make them both the same sort of like attribute? Do something like this, make one of them the sub DPS and make one of them the main DPS? Shit, that could be something that they just get done as well. Because it would be kind of fucking ridiculous to add 2 new sets, right? For collab units and stuff like that, and then just clog up that menu even more. So maybe it's like something that they're experimenting with right now, and that'll be a bit of a teaser that they have moving forward. And I think they've already set like the baseline. They've already set sort of like the expectations. I hope this is the new normal, because this is arguably, I think, the best implementation that they've done yet when it comes to new gear. Now, I guess like as a bit of a bonus, I might as well just take some time over here to discuss this new bad boy. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like this. I like the design of Reel of Spliced Memory, because this actually reads as not necessarily like a sub DPS set. This is more so like a rejuvenating glow in how it operates. Some people are saying, oh, it's like moonlit clouds. No, brother. All this does is that if you apply a Tune Strain or Tune Rupture, you just buff Tune Break Boost for everybody. Every single person on the team. This is a way different buff over here than something that activates on outro, right? Something like Linnea's outro skill, or even like this out, or even this that we see over here, because you don't need to use your outro skill to activate this. And I know a lot of people have been complaining, right, about this idea of like quick swap like dying and stuff like that. We can think about it this way. This is potentially a like quick swap friendly Sonata set, because it doesn't rely on outro skills at any point to trigger its effect. So maybe it means that they'll be making like a bit of a concession over here, because guess what quick swap typically has some issues working with? Well, I mean, it's kind of just fucking obvious, right? It's got issues working with sets like this. And the thing is, this is like Linnea's signature set, right? It gives her Spectre damage. Clearly not a lot of people are meant to use it. And this gives an attack buff based off of Tune Break Boost, which is like good, right? Especially if the unit scales off attack. But Linnea now has the potential, because she applies Tune Strain and Tune Rupture, right? She now has the potential to run this bad boy as well. But this is also something that I'm thinking too. And this is going to involve a lot of speculation. Obviously, like these are like not even close to leaks, because I'm just making shit up at this point. I'm kind of hoping that this is a set for like the next version of Rover. Let's be real here, ladies and gentlemen. When was the last fucking time we seen Rover? Bro, their last form was in 2.2. Arrow Rover, ladies and gentlemen, got introduced in version 2.2. Wouldn't it be cool if the next version of Rover is kind of like a general? Maybe they heal a little bit, but they're kind of like they can apply Tune Strain or Tune Rupture, and then they are meant to like sort of give this Tune Break boost to the entire team. I feel like that would be kind of sick. I feel like that would be kind of cool. And that's something that they could do. Reel of Spliced Memories. I'm pretty sure that this is for Lucilla. You want to know who has Spliced Memories? Rover, dipshit. The fuck? What do you mean Reel of Spliced Memories for Lucilla? This could easily apply to Rover too. This motherfucker out here can't remember shit. Bro, what do you mean? Like, bro, like, sure. Sure, right? Well, maybe it's for Lucy. This motherfucker can't remember anything, bro. It says reel is spliced. Yeah, you want to know what has reels? You want to know what has a reel in it? Let me show you. You know what the Lahai Roy think? This has reels too, motherfucker. What do you think those things are in the... Okay. What do you think those are? Those are literally reels. And what's one of the big things that we see in the 3.0 story quest? Rover interacting with this thing and then getting all of like these segmented memories and stuff like that. So just as easily, if you're going to be going by the name that you see, brother, there's a reel in this. And I think Rover actually unlocks one of these in the 3.3 quest, right? Didn't they make this they mentioned this during the anniversary. You can now make this your terminal for the main character. And when we all know Rover's all about getting some of those fucking memories back, and then you saw how fucked up some of those memories were from 3.1, well, guess what? I think it makes a lot of sense for the new free-to-play, like, Rover expansion, right? The new Rover form to be one of the bigger enablers for the Toon archetype. And I would actually really like if they were a character that could, like, inflict Toon Rupture or Toon Strain, and then also naturally, right, have some of that healing ability on the side too. I think that would be sick. I think that would be badass. Oh, and somebody has like a clip of it as well. Okay, great. Okay. We got some Lucilla enjoyers over here.
That song I listened to.
Yeah, motherfucker, she makes the camcorders, okay?
My insomnia last night. The Renaissance do.
Yeah, okay, she makes the camcorders. So what? So what? So what? Multiple characters might be able to use multiple sets. All right, can you stop shitting on my theories for a second there, motherfucker? Yeah, that's her memories. Guess what? Same thing happened with Rover, okay? Maybe they could both use the set. You think about that? Maybe they could just both use the set. Yeah, you didn't think about that one, did you, bucko? Didn't think about that one, did you, bucko? So yeah. That's my personal take. I'm hoping that this guy has a bit of more of an established role in Lahai Roy. And this is the thing. I'm really interested in seeing what 3.4 brings. And like 3.5 as well, right? To be honest, when it comes to how they approach the new character releases. Are they going to just kind of like end Toon Rupture, Toon Strain in Lahai Roy? Is it going to move on to the next region? Because most people are guesstimating based off Septimont, right, being in a new region in 2.4, that there's going to be a new region introduced in 3.4. And is that one also going to have like Toon and stuff like that? Who knows, right? And I think that'll be the biggest question of how we can see the archetype expanded in the future. Because at least in my opinion, it doesn't really feel complete yet. And the way that I know it's not complete is this. How any motherfucker's supposed to use this? Bro, there is just no way they designed these standard weapons to never be usable. We still need the Greatsword Toon-strained DPS that deals liberation damage. Like, that has to be added to the game, right? Like, this is kind of just a confirmation that there will be a character that will deal liberation damage and also be a Toon-strained DPS, right? It has to be. And similarly, and this is... there's got to be like a Toon-strained interfered DPS that like, or Toon-strained interfered sub DPS or something like that that deals resident skill damage. Right? And like scales, I guess, a little bit off of ER. Because otherwise, it's like, what? Were they just on crack when they added these? Were they just on like drugs when they added these to the game? They were just like, fuck it. Put the most dog shit random fucking stats possible. And like, hey, fuck it. No one's gonna... Because guess what? Every weapon we've had on the standard banner is at least somewhat designed for an existing unit. Yes, I know it's terrible on her, but like this is meant for Encore. Basic attack damage, right? I know it's kind of terrible. This one's meant for Ling Yang because he alternates between basic and resonant skills to deal his damage. Right? This was just fucking badass, so we don't need to talk about who it's made for. It's made for everybody. It's fucking amazing. This one's made for Calcharo. I know it's shit though, but it is made for Calcharo. We all know that. And then EOG is meant to be Rover's signature. And of course, like, it's applicable to a bunch of other characters because it's good like Static Mist. These all have intended users. Like, I don't think that they would just be like, fuck it, make them actually shit. Because we've already gotten ones that have intended users, right? They just decided to make the pistols broken for some fucking reason. This is usable on, like, Carlotta, like Galbreda, like Chakota. It's just used. This is like Chakota's best in slot without like on the Cartithea team. Yeah, on the Cartithea team, this is the best in slot. I bet some of y'all did not know that. This is better than Static Mist on the Cartithea team. It is, right? This is clearly something that Luke uses, but the rest of these three things, they all scale off of tune, and nobody kind of fucking knows what to do with them. They all scale off tune in some fucking way, and nobody really knows what is moving forward. So I do think we're gonna see more tune break. We're likely gonna see more tune and like tune associated stuff in 3.4 and beyond. Otherwise, half of the shit they added makes no sense, and I don't think Kuro would do that. But maybe they're like griefing, so like, yeah, well, I guess I'll update you guys again and see if I was wrong about this one. Anyways, that'll be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, like the breakdown, the theory crafting, all of that has been a bit exciting. But these two new Sonata sets that they've added are very, very, very interesting and very, very, very cool, in my opinion. And yeah, that's the discussion that we're gonna be having on that one. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.